I am not an expert historian, but just some guy with an internet connection. I could easily get some information wrong. Feel free to correct me in the comments below and turn on annotations or check the description because I might have to go back and correct stuff. Could I have missed something, so please tell me. I'm really sorry, it's the first time ever done something like this, and feel free to leave feedback. Also read the description, goodbye.
The world is full of conflict, which you would know if you ever saw the news. Many of these conflicts have to do with unclear borders. In this series, I will try and cover every single border dispute. To be clear, a border dispute is only when two or more separate countries disagree where their land or maritime border is. This series will not cover every conflict that there is, just border disputes that there are. I will not cover any weird-looking borders unless if there is a dispute over the weird border. This includes, but is not limited to, one country claiming part or whole of another country, two countries claiming the same territory or island, two countries arguing over where their maritime borders are, etc. I will not repeat a dispute if we have already covered it before. I will cover disputes over fully sovereign UN-recognized countries, unless if there is a dispute with 3 or more countries, or 2 or more recognized countries and 1 or more unrecognized countries are in dispute, or if the unrecognized countries are on the same side as a recognized country in dispute with another recognized country. So, let's begin. Afghanistan and Pakistan do meet periodically to clarify the border, but do not have a dispute. The same goes for Iran. Let's move on to Argentina and the United Kingdom, which have a large dispute over the Falkland Islands, known to the Argentinians as the Islas Malvinas. Spain, France, and the UK fought for a few years over who owned the island. When Argentina declared independence, she established a port there, but was taken out by the British. For the next few decades, Britain stayed in control over the island. Argentina then became run by a military dictatorship, and their economy was in turmoil. So I decided to invade the islands because they thought the UK wouldn't care. Margaret Thatcher decided to fight back. Britannia won and re-established their colony. Argentina continued to claim the island. The Falkland Islands had a referendum that almost unanimously voted to stay British. Argentina still lays claim because she says that Britain put those citizens there and the islands are closer to her. To this day, the area is controlled by the UK. Argentina and the UK's claim over Antarctica also overlap, but that is not really an issue since the Antarctic Treaty bans countries from making claims over Antarctica. The boundary in the Andean southern ice field is not clearly defined with Chile, but this is also not an issue because no one really lives there. We move away from the South Atlantic to Europe. Armenia and Azerbaijan have had ethnic, religious, and political conflicts for centuries. The two countries were invaded by the USSR, which quieted the tension. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, though, the two countries went to war over the Nagorno-Karabakh region, where 75% of the population was ethnically Armenian but was controlled by Azerbaijan. The two countries agreed to a ceasefire, and now the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic wants to either join Armenia or become independent. Azerbaijan currently has very little control over the region. The two countries also have disputed enclaves and exclaves. Those are, by the way, get used to me Englishifying a bunch of names. Those are the Armenian Artvashan surrounded by Azerbaijan, and the Azerbaijani Yukhari, Askipara, Barksudaili, and Kari surrounded by Armenia. The exclaves are, in general, administered by the country that surrounds it. Let's move on to Australia, which has a dispute with Timor-Leste over their maritime borders. The area has tons of natural gas and oil, which is important to Timor-Leste, a relatively poor country dependent on those resources. The countries have a shared zone, where they split the revenue from the oil and gas, but Timor-Leste believes that they have more of a right to the oil, because they're closer. Australia and Indonesia also dispute their maritime border, and some in Indonesia challenge Australia's claim to the Ashmore Reef. On the other side of the world, Belize has a border dispute with Guatemala, because Guatemala claims all of Belize south of the Seaboon River. This is because of a treaty in 1855 that they don't agree with. The area is controlled by Belize. Next, Benin and Burkina Faso's border is unclear in Kualu by the town of Porga. It is not a big dispute since it's in the middle of nowhere, but it is a dispute nonetheless. Finally, for this video, Bhutan and China dispute the Doklam Plateau and Jarkarlong and Pasamlong valleys. China claimed these territories back in 1961 because nobody messes with China.